Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Mahdiar, and in this video we are going to show you a FP&A model inside Power BI. So as you know, Microsoft Power BI is in business intelligence tools. So in business intelligence area, we try to kind of tell the story of a business. What has happened in the past. If I want to give you an example, a good example would be just preparing the financial statements for your actual data. So let me show you a really simple example that how people are doing this inside the Power BI. These two grids that you are seeing right now is divided into two parts. And right now, currently, I'm going to show you the green part. Just focus on the green part. The green part is the actuals. So how can a person prepare these two financial statements? Statement of financial position or balance sheet and income statements. So it's really simple. We just need to get the trial balance from our ERP systems, then create some measures inside the Power BI, like what is the value of the balance for each account, create some dimensions, do some calculations, intermediary calculation inside those, and a lot of other things. And at the end, you just can simply generate these numbers for the actuals data. It's not really hard, to be honest, because you already have the data for balance sheet and also for the P&L. But what if we are going to look into the futures? What if we also want to incorporate our planning data? In this case, that falls into the area of data analytics, not data analysis. And you are looking in the futures and planning for the futures. There are different platforms like Anaplan or Oracle. They're called an EPM solution, Enterprise Performance Management Systems, they are designed specifically for the planning, not like ERP that their purpose is for capturing the transactions data. So right now, a lot of people are using Power BI to just create a dashboards and to get insights from the actual data, like the green part that you are seeing here. Like what is the total what is the total value of our assets or liabilities? We can create multiple measures to see what are our financial ratios, like current ratio, asset ratio, and so many other things. This is simple, but what if we want to also have the planning data next to the actuals? And planning has different approaches. The approach that we took in this case was driver-based planning. So what does it mean? So as you know, take it as an example, the P&L items. In the P&L, we have different items like revenue, cost of goods sold, OPEX, and so many different things. Generally, the FP&A team is assigning different approach to different line items. For example, they want to have the manual input for their OPEX expenses, as it can be shown in these examples. We thought that the FP&A team for the OPEX expenses wanted to just manually input the data. So just please ignore these categories that if they are in the OPEX or not. This is just a simple example and a demo to show you how it works. So the FP&A comes and say, hey, for these kind of accounts, I just want to manually input the data. So you just need to input the value inside the Excel and import it to the Power BI. But for other items like revenue, someone might come and say, hey, I want to use the average, like moving average for 3 months or for 5 months, depending on the interest they have. Another person might come and say, I want to use the regression and statistical method. So there are a lot of driver-based drivers that we can use for our line items. So creating this forecasted P&L is still simple. I'm not saying that it is as simple as creating actuals data for the P&L, but it has some tricky points. It has some challenges. But the main challenges in preparing future data, the planned data for the financial statement, is balance sheets. So if I want to give you an example, is that suppose you have the revenue of $500 in this month, and you need to make some assumptions like what percentage of this 500 is going to be received inside this month, and what other percentage is going to be received in the next month or in other 2 months. We don't know. These are all the assumptions that FP&A people are going to assume. So right now, we have created a customized table that FP&A people can set their assumptions. For example, like this account, product sales, this is just the main revenue of the companies. They assume that from every sale that they have inside a specific month, 90% of that amount is going to be generated, is going to be converted to cash and comes to the company in the current month, and the remaining 10% is going to be received in the next month. Or for other costs, like for example, cost of goods sold, we assume that the money that we are going to pay to our suppliers for the material that we have bought, 50% of that is going to be paid in the current month, and 30% in the second month, and the remaining 20% in the third month. So these are all depending on the policy that FP&A and of course the whole company is trying to take. So this table can be based on your criteria. It can be different. So you just need to import this data from your Excels. And the other thing is that how P&L line items are going to be mapped to the balance sheet items. As you can see here, product sales is a revenue account that the P&L is going to affect the account receivable. Or other expenses like advertising expenses is going to be affected. It's going to affect the accounts payables. So it can be different based on the different line items in P&L. Like if an P&L items is related to operating accounts payable, so it just be mapped. It's simple. And another line items might be mapped to another items in the balance sheet, like non-operating accounts payable. So it can be different. But you, in this example, are only viewing a really simple and mock-up of the flow of the information, of the logics. So after determining all of these assumptions, let's go and see our financial statements. So every line items in the P&L, as you can see here in the below grid, has its own driver. Like revenue is using the maybe manual inputs or moving average. Other expenses might use another drivers. So until July, as you can see also in here in the KPI, it's not a KPI actually, it's a card. You can see our last month actual is July 2024. So it's a switchover date for us. For those who might not be familiar with the switchover date, it's a date that until that date, you're getting the actual data to create financial statements, and from that date forward, you're using your planning data. So right now, the green parts, the data are coming from just your source system that is an ERP, or it might be really a simple system. And for the plan data in this light yellow part, it's all based on the calculation that are being happen inside the Power BI. In the P&L, for example, we thought that for the product sales, we just need to manually input the data. Or for other expenses like salaries, it might be something like applying a growth rate to generate the forecast numbers. So after creating P&L, we face a really challenging that is how to create balance sheets. So right now here, if you want to create the numbers that are accurate and based on the accounting rules, we need to first map these P&L items to the balance sheets and set the timing cash flows because, as I said in the assumption page, if the 90% of the revenue is going to be received in the first month, so the cash is going to be increased by 90% in the first month and the 10% in the second month. So this timing of the cash flow is also important. So with writing some DAX formulas and creating this mapping by calculated tables or other method inside the Power BI, we were able to create these plan datas. All of them are automatically created inside Power BI. So you just need to plan for the P&L items, and the balance sheet and the cash flow will be generated automatically. So you might ask that, hey, Mahtiyar, right now, some of the P&L items value are being imported. Yes, exactly, like the manual inputs. Or this timing of the cash flow is being imported from an Excel. So this is an example that what is the background logic for creating a P&L. Right now, there are different tools and add-ons for the Power BI that can help you to achieve this goal by simply manually input the data inside the Power BI. Because Power BI itself doesn't have this capability that gives the users right to input the data or change the data inside itself. It must be in the ERP, in the source system, or in the Excel files. But some of the add-ons like AimPlan is an add-on for the FP&As that can help them to use Power BI for their planning, not also for the actual reporting, but also for the planning. They let us to change the data inside the Power BI. And that will reduce the time for preparing your plan or for your budgets or everything related to this EPM area. So that was a really simple mock-up and demo. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much.